Good morning, guys. It is Friday, June 26th. It's been a while since we vlogged. I tried to vlog yesterday. It didn't turn out very well. It wasn't the best approach. So I went ahead and completed actually vlogging it, but I didn't actually edit or any of that stuff. So I'm hoping getting back in the swing of things. I'm hoping today goes much better. So I'm going to repeat a lot of the same stuff, but you don't know that. So I don't know really why I'm saying this. So yeah, we got a little bit of an update kind of vlog, kind of getting you guys back up to speed with what's been going on. Kind of been AFK for a little bit. Had a lot of things going on the past month. So we're going to kind of recap July July. Wow. No, we're going to go ahead and recap June and kind of walk you guys through what I've been up to, what I've been working on, and kind of what's been going on around the house as well as the business. So let's get into today's vlog. Let's get it. Alright guys, so yeah, we've got a lot to talk about. So let's just start from the very beginning. June 1st, that first week of June, I went on a trip with my buddy John, also known as, I call him Squall. Went on a backpacking trip, a 7-day backpacking trip, where we hiked the STS, which is the Susquehannock Trail System. It's up in Pennsylvania, northern Pennsylvania. It's a 85-mile or 84 and some odd change loop, which connects all of these different trails all around these ridges and going up and down these mountains and going through the woods. It was a lot of fun. I've never been backpacking before, but this was it was gorgeous. There wasn't a lot of nice sight lines and stuff like that you would think you're up in the mountains you kind of would see over top of the trees. You never really got above the trees that were around you. If you kind of went off trail a little bit, you could kind of see different areas where you could see the other mountains and things like that. And there were definitely some places that you could get these nice sight lines. But for the most part, it was really just kind of enjoying what was going on in your vicinity. So it was an awesome trip. I really enjoyed it. If you've been following the channel for any amount of time, you'll know that we were planning on going and hiking part of the AT for this trip. Well, the majority of the AT was closed, or sections of it was closed, and we couldn't get to where we wanted to go. So we just decided to take this trip instead, and we'll jump back into the AT next year. So probably a good thing, because this was kind of a step below the difficulty level of an AT section hike. So this was definitely a challenge for me. We were climbing peaks and ridges that were upwards of 700 feet. And less than a mile type of steepness, so you're going and there were also some pretty steep declines as well, which are equally as hard. It's a different type of hard, I think, a different type of difficulty, but overall it was a really good experience. I got to test out a bunch of gear, purchased a whole bunch of gear for my backpack, which I still need to purchase a backpack. I was borrowing his, so that's one piece of gear that I need to actually purchase for the next trip. But we'll be making a couple videos about our trip. I also have a video coming up for our Tar Hollow trip, which was the day hike that we did before the STS. So I've got that coming out. I want to do kind of a behind the scenes for the 3 hikes that we did this year. And then with the STS, we're going to do a gear review and kind of a sit down for, kind of what we learned and what gear we would take back and what we wouldn't take back and what's going to be changing and kind of stuff like that. So again, that was a week long. So that was the first week in June. Came back, took a day or two off to kind of recuperate. It was a challenge. It definitely was. Then turn around the Wednesday after we got back. I had a wedding over in the Xenia Center, Cedarville area with Lauren and Brandon, and it was gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. It was an elopement, so it was just the bride and groom and then the officiant. But we had a good time. The cute couple, perfect weather. We had to kind of fight with a little bit of rain, but luckily, it kind of ended up to where it was only kind of sprinkling at certain times that we weren't actually planning on doing stuff, and like while they were getting ready and stuff like that. But for the most part, we had like absolutely gorgeous weather. So we closed out the day at about 9 o'clock, 9:15, with a nice like sunset, like kind of like closing out the video type of thing. I've looked at a little bit of the footage, but really haven't got into the editing process of that yet. I've still got some other some prior projects that I'm working on and getting caught up there. But from the kind of first glance, it's looking good. It's going to be great. So I'm pretty excited to get to that one. I've never done an elopement wedding before, so this is kind of the first time I had to do that. And it's an interesting experience. You really kind of have to look at what you're shooting and kind of really plan out, you know, how your film's going to go together, because with a traditional wedding, you know, you always want to get like the bride and groom getting ready, you know, the interactions between, you know, them and their wedding party and things like that, and the guests arriving. And with that, you can kind of like pull together, you can just record a whole bunch of stuff and then pull together what you need for the final edit, and, you know, be pretty safe. But with something like this, you need to be very precise and very, you know, you really have to have a game plan set for what you're trying to shoot and what you're going to be putting together, because there is a lot to shoot, but most of it has to do with like the surrounding area and like the feel of the day and like kind of like a real intimate type of film. And so again, first time doing an elopement wedding, and it went pretty good. I'm pretty excited for it. And it was a great like kind of ease back into the wedding season. This was my first wedding of the year because of what's going on in the world, obviously. So yeah, so it was kind of a nice ease back into it. So our next wedding isn't till August 1st, full-fledged wedding up in the Northern Ohio region. Kind of looking forward to that. Looking forward to getting back into filming like a traditional wedding, kind of my bread and butter. Not that I wouldn't do an elopement wedding again. Definitely would. It's super awesome, and I would really like to perfect that skill. So if you're planning on doing an elopement wedding and you don't have a videographer yet, definitely get in touch. I'd love to work with you and try and work on work on capturing your big day. So anyway, so we got that wedding coming up in August to prepare for. We got some new gear and things like that to actually use on that shoot. The other thing that's going to be sweet for that video for you guys, or for that filming day, is I've got a buddy of mine from high school, Matt, who's going to be joining me and shooting it behind the scenes for me. So we're going to be able to take you guys along for the ride, and you'll kind of see, you know, how I approach the day and what happens, and, you know, kind of behind the scenes, and give you an idea of what I do, when I'm doing it, why I'm doing certain things, and, you know, kind of how I just approach shooting a wedding. So huge shout out to Matt for that. I'm really excited to work with him. We've been talking about this for almost 2 years now, and we're finally getting around to like working together. So hopefully this year and next year we can work a little bit more together and make some cool content for you guys. So anyway, let's get back to work. We've got a lot going on today, and I want to bring you, like I said, I'm going to bring you guys along for the ride. So I've got some work on the computer I got to do, but yeah, hope you guys are having a great day. Let's get back into it. So one of the things there's two things I really wanted to kind of talk to you guys about with like the home improvement side of things that we've been working on, or I've been working on rather. And first one is a mantle over our dining room fireplace. It's a really cool thing that Amanda found. She kind of came across this one Pinterest picture where there was it was almost like a railroad tie or a barn pillar, post or whatever for a actual like mantle over the fireplace. So she's like, "Oh, I really like that. That's really cool." It was stained dark wood, and it had some nice decor and things like that. So I was like, "Okay, let's look into it and see how they made it." Well, turns out that there's like these specific rails that you can buy that you screw into the fireplace, and then you drill holes into the actual railroad tie, or in our case, we found a barn beam, I guess is what you want to call it, and we drilled holes in that, and you just kind of slide it on, and voila, you have a mantle place. So it's like 6x6, and then we've got, I think it's like 4 feet wide, it actually turned out pretty cool. She stained it like a really dark wood, so it would kind of match the decor in the room that she was going for, and it looks really good. She's kind of got it set up right now with her willow tree figures, and then she's got this really kind of iron rod cross that we got put up there, and a couple candles. It turned out pretty good. I'm impressed. You know, and it's one thing, you know, the construction of it was pretty straightforward, but I'm always a little nervous when dealing with like brick, because it's a little bit more permanent, right? You drill into a brick and there's really no going back from that. Whereas like if you're drilling into like drywall or wood, you just, you know, wood putty or spackle, you know, and then sand it down and then paint over it. No harm, no foul. Whereas if you're drilling into brick, there's, you know, you can put cement or something in there, but there's really no kind of going back. There's no going back to what it once was. So luckily, we didn't have any problems. Once we had the correct drill bits and things like that, we were able to kind of drill in, get everything pounded in as far as like the actual support structure, and it's on there pretty good. It's tight. It's really, really tight, but it's not going anywhere anytime soon. So it turned out, like I said, turned out really good. I'm impressed with it. So the other thing that we worked on was a coffee station, and if you're not familiar with this, it's kind of like this piece of furniture that you put like a coffee pot, like your different flavors of coffee or whatever, beans or whatever the case may be, your mugs, and it's kind of away from your kitchen, I guess. I'm not a coffee drinker, so I don't really know, but we found like these couple, you know, source items or whatever on Google, and people have been taking like old, like, you know, late 90s where the TV stands, where they've got like the cabinet and you got the doors or whatever, and underneath there's got like the shelving and stuff like that. So you take the doors off, you replace the back with like this something, you know, some type of like wood or paneling or whatever, kind of give it a little bit of depth. And so we went through all this you know, this process with one of these things we found. It was the right color that she was looking for, so we didn't actually have to stain anything. It matches the mantel piece, which it's right next to, which is really cool. Amanda found like this vinyl sticker that has like kind of looks like old, like really old wood. So we put that on a new piece of drywall, or so we put that vinyl on like a new piece of plywood and attached that to the back of it to give it a little bit more stability. And yeah, it turned out pretty good. We ran a couple of cables through. We dropped in a couple lights at the top, which turned out, it looks really good. So that was the other project that was kind of on our list to get done soon. So kind of impressed with how it turned out. You know, it looks good next to the mantle. The next project that we have in that room that we're looking to finish is the actual table itself. I'm planning on building a table, a dining table, because we've got a specific size and, you know, dimension that we're looking for, and we haven't found one that we really like in the style that we're looking for. So Amanda's just like, here's a couple that I like as far as blueprints go, and on YouTube, is there something you could do about it? And I was like, we can try it. So, you know, the majority of them are less than $200, which is significantly less than what you would spend actually buying a pre-constructed table. So I'm like, yeah, what the heck, we can try it and figure it out. So I've picked up a couple extra tools for, you know, actually creating this piece of furniture. So I've never actually done something quite this big. I've built like a couple bookshelves, like freestanding bookshelves before, but nothing quite, you know, I guess that table over there, maybe. I mean, that was really just kind of attaching some planks or whatever, and then iron bars for the legs. So I don't really count that. But this is like a fully wood table that she's looking for. So then the couple other things that we've been working on in the office, as far as like decor goes, I'm really kind of pretty pumped about how they turned out. So the first thing that we finished was the hanging frames rather. We got just placeholder artwork now, a couple paintings I did when I was in college. But those are both hanging from a iron bar across the top. They're hanging from cabling, which is pretty sweet. So we've got some new frames up there that we'll be able to hang some artwork in, some photos and stuff like that. I'm really, really looking forward to switching those out and kind of using that as a way to kind of accent the actual room itself. So The next thing that we got was this shelving unit right here. Originally, we had a much smaller one that couldn't hold the binders in the bottom left here. This was really kind of meant to hold like my Magic collection and things like that. Right now, it's kind of messy. We haven't quite got that project finished up. You can see we got some boxes and stuff like that. But this is the shelving, the same shelving unit that matches the one behind our set here. So before we were just using a cabinet. It was just a huge mess. There was no organization or anything like that. So I actually went through, organized all those cards, got them into different boxes and things like that. The next step is to organize the binders and things like that to kind of break it down a little bit further. We've got about probably there's 8 shelves there, and about half of it is consumed by those Magic cards. So the plan is to use the rest of that shelving for like photography and videography stuff. The other thing that we're working on, or that we finished, is over here, is the cabinet, the gear closet. I am so excited for this. We did a video on it earlier. Now let me open up some blinds here. It's kind of a mess right now, but we did a video on it a while back, kind of explaining the idea and what we were going to do. And this is still a mess. We're working on this, but we've got like. We're going to be putting camera gear and stuff like that in there. Kind of like a display case and things like that. So the cabinet itself is from IKEA, but I really enjoy it. I think it's going to be a good fit. The other thing that's going to be nice about this is we're actually building out a second set. So we're going to be having 2 sets on this side of the room. Camera facing this way towards the actual case and things like that is going to be for the videography side of things. So then facing this way towards the board games and everything, this is going to be used for the 72 DPI set. So you'll see a difference once this is actually complete. We still got quite a bit to do as far as getting the actual gear set up the way I want it, and then this other cabinet back here. We put kind of like our camera cases and things like that in there. So I'm kind of excited to kind of finally get that portion, that corner of the room done. The only other thing that's left to do besides the white cabinet, figuring out if we're going to paint it or replace it or whatever, the only other project that we've got to do is that window right there. We're going to board up, or I guess not really board up, we're going to create like a fake wall to put in front of it so that we can hang some shelves and stuff like that, kind of get some more stuff off the desk. The other thing I'd like to get is some monitor stands as well, so we can kind of get the monitors off the table, kind of help with the posture a little bit, and get them a little bit higher up, so I don't have to worry about like slouching over or anything like that. But anyway, those are a couple things that we're working on. The wall itself is probably going to be a little bit further down the road. Right now, I want to work on getting this shelf. Right now, I want to work on getting this shelf finished, cleaned up, and then getting the gear closet set up and all pretty and functional, and then the cabinet behind it or beside it, I want to get that straightened up and kind of matching. Right now it doesn't really match. You got dark blue pretty cabinet next to pretty ugly white cabinet. So that's kind of what's been going on. The office has been kind of in a disarray, so that's kind of another reason why we really haven't been shooting a lot of videos in here, because there just really isn't a lot of space to do that with all of the different projects going on all over the place. So yeah, all right, let's get back to work. All right, guys, so it is Saturday morning. It's the next day. So I really didn't vlog last night. I got off work. Amanda's mom came over, so we visited with her. We had some dinner. Company 7 barbecue, which if you're in the Inglewood area, it is delicious. It's probably some of the best barbecue you ever have. Their brisket is bomb, and then they've got some really nice, some really good sauces too that you can dip in it. We had some of their spicier sauces, and so good. Also, if you do go there, make sure you order a slice of their triple chocolate cake, because that's the best way to end that type of meal. So came back. So after dinner, we kind of vegged out a little bit and just kind of hung out. I came back in the office after everybody went to bed. Started watching Hannibal, the TV series on Netflix, which is really good. So far, I'm halfway through. I think, or starting about halfway through season 2. It's actually pretty good. It's getting, the first season was really strong. The second season is it's starting to catch up with like Red Dragon. So, like, you know, there's only 3 seasons. So, you know, like, it's going to be coming to an end pretty quick. The only issue that I've got right now is there's some things that are happening that technically have already happened in Red Dragon, but they're not caught up to Red Dragon yet. So, like, I don't want to spoil anything, but certain people know certain things about certain other people that found out now, but also found out in Red Dragon. So, it's like, there's a little bit of controversy there, a little bit of inconsistency, but still, the videography of the film is phenomenal. The acting is really strong. It took me a hot minute, about 1 or 2 episodes, to get over the fact that Anthony Hopkins didn't play Hannibal. Yeah, other than that, it's a really strong, really getting very violent, very, I don't want to say gory because they don't really show a lot, but like, the more gory stuff they kind of imply, and they really use sound, and like, they really make you infer what's happening, which is the sign of good cinematography. The audio and like the sound design is just perfect. So if you haven't seen it yet, Hannibal on Netflix, definitely give it a watch. There's only 3 seasons, so it's going to be pretty short for you. You can probably binge watch it in a weekend or over the course of 2 weekends. But yeah, so figured I'd take the night off, and then I've got all day today, so we're gonna go ahead and hop on the editing computer, and we've got Heather and Matthew's wedding to finish their highlight film, so we're gonna get that done today. Pretty much the last bit to do on theirs is we've got to get some of the general dancing shots put together, pick out audio, and then just push it all together. So we've got everything, all the clips and everything are edited down to what's usable and what I would like to use and things like that. Everything is kind of in order on where I want it to go. We've got like the speeches and things, that's all timed out perfectly. We just have to find the right music and drop that in, and then start editing down, you know, the actual film itself. So we've got a little bit of work to do. It doesn't sound like a lot, but we got quite a bit of work to do today. So if we can get that done today, I'll call it a win. I also want to get out and try and fly the drone, so I'll take you guys along with that. We need to find a cool place to fly the drone. Not like in the backyard or anything like that, but we got to find a really cool place to fly it. So there's tons of places around, so maybe we'll do a little bit of research on the computer and find some place that's pretty sweet. So, all right, let's get to editing.